Mr. Speaker, the big question this week is, can we believe what the Prime Minister says? So let us start with his credibility gulf over the election. The Prime Minister was asked this: hand on heart, if the polls showed a 100-seat majority, would you still have called off the election? And he said yes. Does he expect anyone to believe that?
And, Mr. Speaker, I will take no lectures from the Leader of the Opposition.
He's been indicted because of European law for inciting racial hatred. And in this country, he will incite further because British National Party is already advertising him to be allowed into this country. Inciting it, if I was inciting hatred against my Christian friends, and I think that it's right that other people should be putting some sort of restrictions on my movement.
That's a
This man wants to ban my religion and my book that I believe in, or you want to offend other communities. I wouldn't even dream of doing that to my fellow colleagues.
presuming.
The Quran is to Christians as the swastika is for Jews. If you do a Google on the subject of SHIRK, you'll find some very interesting results. This site, Call to Islam, says that murder, rape, child molesting and genocide, these are some of the appalling crimes which occur in our world today. But there is something which outweighs all these crimes put together. It's the crime of SHIRK. If you were to go to Speaker's Corner, stand up on a little box and grab your Bible out and just quote John 3:16, "For God so loved the world that he gave his only Son, that whoever believes in him will not perish but have everlasting life," you have just committed SHIRK according to Islam. So if to be Christian is the ultimate crime, who, according to Islam, is the ultimate criminal? That would have to be the leader of the Christian church.
Does he remember writing this? It's in his best-selling book about courage. As far back as I can remember, I've been fascinated by men and women of courage, stories of people who took brave decisions in the service of great causes, especially when more comfortable and far less dangerous alternatives were open to them.
Although I'm now Minister for Justice, while I was International Development Minister, I was proud that we were able to work with many Muslim countries to help alleviate poverty. In 1997 we got our first Muslim MP. In 2001 we had 2 Muslim MPs. In 2005 we had 4 Muslim MPs. Inshallah in 2009-10 we'll have 8 Muslim MPs. In 2014 we'll have 16 Muslim MPs. At this rate, the whole Parliament will be Muslim.
It's often said, isn't it, that the liberal left is conspicuously silent when it comes to radical Islam. But in my experience, that's not entirely true. Many of them are very quick to label anyone who advocates freedom over theocracy as a racist and an Islamophobe. Indeed, after my last video, where I suggested that we should ban the misogynistic and fascist device known as the burqa, I received quite a lot of very angry emails from members of the multicultural appeasement lobby, the kind of people who'd put their own mothers and daughters in burqas to avoid being called intolerant, and who occupy such high moral ground that you can hardly see them up there through the clouds of self-righteousness. I'm talking about members of the enlightened liberal intelligentsia that has consistently shown itself to be anything but enlightened or liberal or intelligent, mainly because it's motivated more by a deep irrational hatred of America than by any real notion of justice or respect, and whose politically correct double standards and cringeworthy cowardice in the face of aggressive Islamism has led many liberal-minded people to actively despise the word liberal. You people have certainly reminded me, as if I needed reminding, why my political views have changed in recent years. You see, foolishly perhaps, I used to take freedom for granted, but now, thanks to ultra-tolerant, self-hating, multicultural lemmings like you, I don't. Politically, I used to always be on the liberal left, because I used to believe in things like social justice, tolerance, respect, you know, the good things in life. I still believe in those things, which is why I'm no longer on the liberal left. Because I believe that in aligning itself as it has so completely with the fascism of Islam, and in colluding with an ideology that wants to victimise minorities and kill people for their lifestyle, the liberal left has lost its way, lost its moral authority, and become a threat to our freedom. The medicine has become the disease. And I don't want to be contaminated, so where does that leave me now, politically? Does it leave me on the right? No, because that's the last place I want to be, so I suppose it leaves me somewhere in the middle, not knowing which way to turn, because my natural constituency has been poisoned by people like you, and I can't tell you how much I resent that. Actually, I probably could, but it might take a while. Some of you even stoop so low as to try and associate me with an organisation called the BNP, or the British National Party, when everybody who's seen my videos knows full well that my argument is with religion and has got nothing at all to do with race. And I believe the BNP has a racial agenda and is therefore a racist party. So I would rather vote for nobody at all. In fact, I'd rather drive a garden fork through my own foot than vote for the BNP. But this video is not about them. It's not about right-wing fascists. It's about the left-wing kind. And I think the word racist deserves a public apology for the way it's been hijacked and abused by you multicultural pimps, along with another public apology for all the victims of genuine racism, the people who have actually suffered because of the colour of their skin or where they happen to come from, and who can see that word being devalued every time one of you liars uses it to defend a religion, and a fascist religion at that. Race is irrelevant. We're all one race. That's obvious to anybody with half a brain. We're all part of the same organism. But we're not all one religion, are we? And we're not all one culture. And the truth is, and this is the truth, whether you clowns want to hear it or not, that many people in the West feel that we are being invaded, yes, that's the word, invaded, by a religion and a culture whose values we totally reject.
What about a black or Asian British person watching this programme who wants to know what you would like to happen to them and their families eventually?
Well, a significant number of them vote for us, as a matter of fact, because they came to Britain primarily because they wanted to come to a British Britain. They didn't want to come to part of the Third World or something becoming an Islamic state. So our position with them is that they're here if they've bought into our ways and values, say like Trevor McDonald. If they're here legally, they're paying into our system, they don't want to change our country into something else, we've got no problem with them whatsoever.